As you can see, we are in a new space. Oh, and here's one of the people out already saying hello. Adryiano. No, you don't like the camera? Just wants to rub. There's actually about 4 cats and then a lot of dogs here. They're all very friendly and cute. Bye, Canyon. Look at me. Hi guys. Welcome back. Good morning, Hobbs. And we already have our second visitor. Hobbs, stop with me. We have our second visitor. This is Hobbs. One of the bigger dogs. Little big dog. Yes, Keanu is in here. Don't you bust it. Bust it. Okay. Almost ran straight into my camera. As you just saw, that was Hobbs, one of the second dogs. But as you can see, we are in a new space. How beautiful. I'm probably like too far away. So now that you're a little bit closer, and like I was saying, we're in a new space for filming, and that has a little bit of a story behind it because my partner and boyfriend is performing in a new show called Infamous, which is all the way up in northern Queensland at the moment in Townsville. And so I came up to join him because I wasn't really doing much, and here we are in a traveling circus tent. This is probably what a lot of people imagine when I say circus, and it is definitely one of the more traditional. Hobbs, what are you eating? Hobbs, out of there. What was I saying? It's definitely one of the more traditional stereotypes that people imagine, so yeah, that's where I finally am at. I'll try and show you guys a bit of behind the scenes Infamous footage. If you would like that, comment down below, let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably just keep filming some really fun tutorial videos. I've got some great ideas coming up and some guest appearances, so stay tuned for them in the next coming weeks. Also, quick note as well, we are on a semi-main road, so there will be some truck noises, there will be some plane noises because we are also very close to the airport. Love that for filming, but we're gonna have to learn and adapt and cope with that. But today we have a very special video request from a lovely girl called Millie Williams. Thank you for reaching out and asking me to film this video. Most of my stretching videos people love, so I'm sure lots of people will love this as well. But today we are doing a intermediate to advanced splits and middles stretching. There'll also be a bit of like pancake and sort of like general stretching of other things to get to those full progressions of splits. Also going to be going all the way up to over splits, so it's definitely a lot more advanced, this stretching video. But let's get straight into it. You know I'm about keeping these intros nice and short and sweet, so let's go. Okay, so to start off with, we are going to go straight into my front splits stretching routine. So as always, I like to start with a bit of a lunge, but with my back knee off the ground, really trying to open up my hip flexors. You can have your hands on your hip or very lightly on your front leg. I like to also do some little pulses here just to start to really open up that hip. We're then going to do a really fun exercise where you try and keep your whole body where it is and just place that back knee on the ground and then lift it back up. This will really stretch and open up that hip as well. And then dropping that knee onto the ground, we're going to do our on the ground lunge. For this one, if you're really flexible, you can lean back and you can also push yourself forwards. We're then going to bring our hand onto the ground and put our other hand on our knee. And what we're going to do is we're going to push our knee out to the side, and you can let your foot roll onto the side of it. You can also do a bit of movement with this one, pushing it out and bringing it in. This will help to warm up that other hip joint. You just want to go nice and gentle with this one. Okay, bringing that front knee back into its original position, we're then going to bring both hands to the inside of that foot and then come down onto our elbows. You want to see how far you can get your elbows down with this one. You can also let that foot roll out to the side a little bit. This one's really good for getting a really deep stretch in that hip. You're then going to lift up that back knee and flexing those toes onto the ground. So just like before, you're going to be lifting that up. This will make that stretch even deeper. All right, coming out of that one, we're going to come up into half triangle. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift our toes off on the front foot, keeping our heel planted, and we're gonna keep that back foot entirely on the mat. You don't want the heel to come off the ground, and you're going to rock back and forward. This is just gonna start to stretch those hamstrings and get them warm. All right, and coming back down onto the ground, we're going to make sure that our bum is over our knee, and we're going to lift that back foot off the ground. You're going to bring it to your bum and make sure that you tuck your pelvis under. You don't want to be able to sit all the way forward, and if you're not feeling the stretch, even with your foot up, you need to tuck that pelvis under, and you'll start to feel it through your hip flexor and that quad. Next, we're going to keep holding that back foot. We're going to walk our front foot out, and we're going to let that back foot rock forwards to just so that the part just above your knee is on the ground now. You can also move your hand nice and far forward, and you want to see how far you can lean that leg down towards the ground. I also like to have a little twist in this one so that I'm starting to rotate my body in towards that leg that's up the front. This one you don't have to worry too much about tucking your pelvis under because you're already in a very extended position. And relaxing. Man, it is so hot in here. Dying already, and it's only like 9:15. All right, next we're going to straighten that front. My audio is like, what? Okay, we're then going to straighten our front leg and flex our front foot and make sure that our bum is over your knee. And then for this one, you want to make sure that you have a flat back and you're reaching down as far as you can go. And what you're going to do is you're going to point and flex that foot. I really like this exercise because it's called nerve flossing, and I actually find that it helps warm up my hamstrings a lot more, especially when I'm going to be doing oversplits. quick chat sort of about a stretching program, as it's really important. It's really important if you want to make progress in your flexibility that you have a training program and you're sticking to it, because consistency is the best thing for making progress. So what I do is this full splits routine around 3 times a week, and then I also include some active flexibility exercises, which I found to be the most helpful in getting more flexible. The next one we're going to do is we're going to bend our leg in front of you so that it's parallel to your body, and then you're going to fix your back leg so that it goes straight behind you. There's quite a few different variations for what this is called, but I've heard it called pigeon pose a lot, probably from yoga. For this one, if you're really flexible, you want to make sure that your foot is really parallel, or if you're maybe a bit tighter in your glutes, you can bring that foot closer to your hip. I like to plant both my hands on my knee and my foot to try and sort of like lock it down in one place instead of letting it sort of like slide out. For this one, I really want you to focus on relaxing and breathing into it, and then pushing away for 5, and then relaxing. This method of stretching is called PNF. If you've watched some of my past videos, I talk about that and how it's really good and important for getting more flexible without just doing passive stretching, because just doing passive stretching isn't going to make you any stronger in your flexibility, because just being flexible and not having the strength in that range it's not very useful. For it to be safe and actually do something for your body, i.e. being like a good strength in that range of motion, you need to have that control over that flexibility. Otherwise, you're more likely to get injured. All right, next we're going to jump into our splits on the ground just to warm up. I want you to make sure that you go from square hips all the way up, because that'll really help to keep your hips square rather than rolling in from the side. Don't push it too hard, too fast. You just want to warm yourself up at this stage, because we're going to be moving on to over splits. You just want to gently warm up that body. Now, I also had someone ask me a little while ago how to get square hips, and I'm definitely going to give you guys some tips for that, because it's definitely a very hard thing to do. What I like to think about is bringing that back hip forward and pushing it to the ground, and then I think about this back hip, I think about setting this leg back and drawing that hip backwards. So it's a bit of a like opposing, like pushing and pulling motion. Another good way to try and get square hips is actually just working from higher up with square hips and just slowly going down while trying to maintain your square hips. So a great thing to do is, as soon as you feel that this happens, come back up. you want to constantly think about pushing that back hip forwards. And even coming out, I have terrible habits. I roll out to the side. I want you to really make sure that you come up through the center. That'll actually also help you to work on your square splits. All right, let's now jump over to the other side. Because I've explained all of the first side, I'll probably talk less on this other side. So for this one, it's really important that you try and really pull that heel to your bum. You don't want to come too far back. You really want to try and make sure this leg is straight. And of course, like I said before, any of these stretches you can add some PNF to. So for this one, you can relax and pull it towards your bum, and then you can push your toe against your hand and push it away, and then you can relax in. So any of these stretches you can add the PNF to. It's really good for helping to gain a bit of control and flexibility. So something else that I really like to do is I like to do little pulses. What you want to do is you want to take off the weight from your hands a little bit so that you are holding most of that weight in your body, and so that when you do the pulses, you are actually strengthening that range of motion. Because if you've got all the weight in your hands, you're literally just pulsing up and down, and it's not going to do much. All right, and moving on. A really important thing to note when you're stretching is that making sure you're not pushing yourself, oh my god, the cars are so loud, is not pushing yourself too far, too hard, because that's definitely when you're going to get injuries. You need to make sure that when you're stretching, you're actually knowing that you actually know your limits and you know when to stop. So remembering with the splits, make sure you're really drawing that back hip forwards and down, and you're bringing that front one back. Now, another one of my favorite stretches to do PNF in is the splits and doing the little pulses as well. Because the little pulses, you can bring your foot back a little bit and you want to rise up and think about using those hips to help pull yourself up. Doing 10 of these. And then after that, pushing that heel back out and really relaxing into it. With the PNF, you want to push away and then relax into it. And coming out. All right. Grab some yoga blocks, or if you have a chair, or if you have like some cushions, because we are now going to do over splits. Please don't get something too high if you are just starting out. If you're just starting out with over splits, just start with one yoga block or grab a cushion or two. They'll be pretty squishy, but I'm actually up to using 2 yoga blocks sometimes. So pop that first leg up on the block, and then like I said before, you want to make sure that your hips are nice and square going down. Make sure you keep the weight in your hands if you need to, or if you're at the stage where you can take a little bit of weight off your hands, even better. Make sure you breathe in this one. Very important. You'll send lots of oxygen to your muscles and it'll help. All right, and coming out. Jumping over onto the other side. So sometimes if you're doing the oversplits to start off and you're finding it really brutal, just keep that weight in your hands and really try and breathe into it. I find that breathing helps a lot because if you hold your breath in and you tense up your entire body, it's just going to tense up it means you're not going to be able to relax, which is what you really need to do. If you're also really struggling with the oversplits, I also want you to think about doing really light PNF stretching. So if you've got all the weight in your hands, I want you to think about pushing up through those legs and then relaxing down. Pushing up and then relaxing down. And that'll hopefully start to make the stretch a little bit easier. All right, and coming out. Ooh, my legs. All right, next we're going to go over the pancake and middles. I also like to include a little bit of like side bending in this. You don't have to include that if you don't need it. I like to actually start off with a couple sort of like movement from side to side to really open up my hips. So for this one, just like before, I want you to think about resisting away and then relaxing into this stretch. Ooh, I'm definitely a bit tight this morning, so I'm just gonna take it a fair bit easier with this one. To do the little pulses in this position, what you're going to actually do is you're going to bring your legs in a little bit closer, because if you do this one in full splits, unless you have like hecka strong hips, bring your feet in closer because this is actually really hard. What you're going to do is you're going to bring your arms up next to your ear and you're going to do controlled lowering yourself down and back up. Ooh. If it's too easy with your legs in close, just move them out a little bit until it actually feels challenging. And you want to make sure that you're really controlled down and you're not just falling down. Okay, for your pancake, you can also elevate this as well. I like to do this up on one block on each side. This is also a good stretch if you're wanting to try and get straighter lines. You can put a bit of pressure on your knees. I would not recommend doing anything as crazy as putting a weight on your legs because that can be pretty brutal. And there's only so much stretching you can do to try and improve your lines before you actually hit the point where you can't actually change your body that much. But for this one, just start sitting up. Just warm that body up in that position and then start to slowly lower yourself down. With your feet up on the block, you can also do that side bend as well there. And you can also get your chest all the way down to the ground for this one, but I am not that flexible. Another great exercise that you can do in your pancake is you can do roll throughs. And then coming back. I am not very good at coming back through them, as you probably just saw, but you want to try and roll through, keeping your tummy and your legs down on the ground. That one also requires flexibility in your middles and is also really good for starting to warm up your middles as well. Oh my gosh. Now, if you're like me, your hips and your legs are a little bit sore right now, so we're gonna do a couple of these just to kind of like wriggle them out. Okay, and to finish off, we are going to do our middles. So once again, jumping in, we're going to jump into our little froggy just to warm up those hips and those middles. I like to add a little bit of movement in this just to warm up my hips, because my hips they're sore. They're tired. And I like to make sure that I warm up a lot of my body before I go into my full splits. When you're ready with this one, you can actually like half the progression and put one leg out straight and warm that up, and do the same thing on the other side before going into your full middles, because it's a pretty harsh stretch. Once again, in your middles, this is a really great time to do your PNF, so pushing away and then relaxing down. Pushing away, relaxing down. Ooh, my legs creak. For your middles, you can also do them elevated on yoga blocks or chairs. I am not that advanced, so I'm not going to be flat on the ground on the yoga blocks, but I'll definitely give it. Once again, just like before, you can slowly progress this by just doing one leg up on a yoga block and doing the other side before progressing to having both feet up on yoga blocks. legs feel like they've actually worked, not just like a pissy, relaxing stretch session. Your legs should feel a little bit sore, but not hurting painfully. Also, as of course, I always have in my description, if you do try any of these exercises, please consult your physio, doctor, or your trainer if you have one, because I want you guys to practice safely and prevent injuries, because that's the good life when you don't get injured. Alright, and that is it for that stretching follow along routine. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope some of the more advanced viewers of mine enjoyed that. Please let me know down in the comments if there is. Good morning, Sky. Good morning. And here's another one of the dogs. This is Sky. Please do let me know down in the comments if there is anything you would like me to cover in any of these video tutorials. I'm always very happy to do that for you. And if you did enjoy this video and want to support my channel, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. And of course, if you want to be notified anytime I upload a new video, hit that little notification bell. And as always, I'll see you guys next week.